first call to the public if there's anyone that would like to address this committee. Step up, sir.
Right here.
Did you fill out a slip? You can do it when you're done, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Stand right here.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, this is all new to me.
No, you're fine.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time for hearing my request. My name is Jacob Dace. You'll be voting today on the approval for my PA 116 application. It's currently known as 40 Ranch. In 2022, my wife, daughter, son, and myself purchased the property. Our last name is Dace, so that henceforth 40 Ranch. We got the privilege of buying such a property. Have spent our time improving the farm while growing a business to hand down to our children. The land is currently used as a horse boarding facility with pasture. While it may not be a large-scale row crop operation, it is active agricultural land and supports animals, provides open space, and contributes to the rural character of our community. Our hay needs are filled locally by beef farmers, as well as our grain needs. Our bedding comes from Michigan sawmills as well. For me, this just isn't about land use, it's personal. When my family came to America, we started out as farmers. World War II got in the way of that, moved into town, and I'm just trying to get our family back to our roots. Today, it's getting more and more challenging to own farmland, especially to be the first generation back into it. We have subdivision approaching from the east, and property taxes at this point cost as much as our hay and bedding obligations, and it's just not a sustainable path to hand down to the future generations. So it's kind of one of those to continue on for my grandchildren, great-grandchildren. We got to do something. So that's why we're here today to seek some help to continue on and figure out if you're going to vote on it, I at least show you what you're voting for. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was very nice to hear from you. That item will be on our next committee momentarily, but that is not a problem at all. So thank you. All right, Julie.
Good evening, everybody. This month, kind of a continuation of last month, working on settlements with the local units for the 2025 tax season. Got some interesting things going on. Just a lot of our computer programs aren't necessarily talking to each other real nice. And we've got some in the cloud, some not in the cloud, this, that. And we're catching glitches and we'll get them worked out, but there are just some things that are maybe putting a little wrench, a little wrench in things that they'll all get worked out. Some examples might be one of my township's escrow payments were not going to the right property. Their computer was not reading the 01 when they downloaded the payment file. And so we're working on it. It'll all be good. Notices went out and a lot of phone calls. What do you mean? My escrow paid that. Well, we'll look at it and we'll figure it out. So people are overall being very patient, and it will be taken care of and made right. But just some things that are going on in that sense that, but almost done. I think I'm 95% there. Probably wrap it up this week or next week with the settlement. Dog licenses are at 2,350. Again, very low, very low. And other than that, I guess it's keeping us busy.
So Julie, quick question. When you say the cloud, do you have BSNA modules that are on the cloud?
We don't yet, but a few of the townships do.
Really?
And then when you try importing their things into our things, it's not as clean as it maybe could be.
This is also part of a larger issue. Pete will tell you when we get to this agenda item about some of the assessment stuff related to BSNA and the cloud that has caused some glitches. So we're using the traditional server-based, I think it's called .NET
yes.
version, but they're going to this cloud version and they're having some real issues. They have approached us about it and I've kind of kicked it down the road because I don't want to be on the front lines of any kind of technology integration, because it's not working right.
Well, they're very pushy
Yep, they
too,
are very
and I'm
pushy.
getting really, really irritated about it. I have been looking at some competing software. I don't think that's where we need to go yet, but
It's
I'm
also
putting out
like
feelers.
Right,
twice the price. So,
Yeah, exactly. And so BSNA does a newsletter, which I actually read this month. And so in assessing, they are very weak. So they are partnering with a company called Assessing Solutions. And the BSNA, nice lady apparently, says, if you have any questions, contact me. So I emailed her last week and said, I have some questions. We're still using .NET. My municipality does not have the bandwidth for the cloud right now. What are we doing? Nothing.
yeah.
No response.
Mm.
it's
So-
been an ongoing issue and it's not anything that Julie's department or our tech people did. It has to do with all these different systems outside of ours. Some are on cloud, some are not on cloud. The database integration and how they talk to one another is not exactly sync.
Right,
And the cost is ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been that many years. And I mean, I look at Scioto Township. They just went to BSNA. And for that little township spent $20,000. That's real money.
Mm-hmm.
And then here now, 2 years later, oh, we're gonna push this
Right.
even more expensive.
They really have a monopoly. I think most of the counties are with BSNA. They have a huge
Well-
hold on things.
I've been doing some work.
Mhm.
I've got 2 potential people that I'm talking to just to get some ideas.
And I don't know the name off the top of my head, but we can talk again of somebody rather local that might be of a good knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because it's coming. They are gonna push this, and you gotta be ready.
Right.
Both, I mean, not just financially, but it's a big learning curve, huge learning curve.
Mhm.
So, all right. Does anybody else want to join my soapbox?
We are not gonna spend the money on it, so we have to go kicking and screaming.
Well, and we pay to support the .NET version.
And
So,
customer service is getting not anything like it. It used to be with BSNA. If you called or you contacted them, you heard back, that was one of their big things.
Yes.
You will hear from us within 15 minutes and they would be right back to you, and now it's not
I
quite
had
that
some
efficient.
kid tell me I should use the online manual. I about lost my mind.
Right.
I don't want to use the online
Yeah.
manual. I want you to tell me the answer.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun.
yeah, changing times.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
So our first agenda item, I would look for a motion to authorize the clerk to fill a circuit court deputy clerk at a grade 3.
So support.
Moved and supported.
Standard vacancies, some have left, and we're just refilling the budgeted position.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed nay, and we'll see that on Wednesday. I would look for a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the 35th, 66th, and probate courts and the 35th, 66th, and probate court TPOAM Association.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported.
So we have 3 different court unions. As you can tell, there is the 35th Circuit, the 66th Circuit, and then there is Family Court Probate Division. And they were all on 3 separate contracts. That also includes the circuit court clerk side in the 35th, as well as the friend of the court is in that 35th Circuit Court contract as well. So Judge Stewart is now the chief judge, and he and I have been working on trying to align these because there are variations in all 3 of these different contracts. And we're a very small county, And so there really shouldn't be that much variation between 3 different departments. So they all were set to expire at the same time. Judge Stewart, Greg, Eric, and myself met with the respective unions all together, and we negotiated one contract for all 3 units. They will use one scale. They were using 3 different pay scales. They were similar. They were within a sense of each other, but they weren't the same. They had different terms, different things like that. They will now all be the same. And the final one will have an adjustment of a 2% COLA, be a 3-year contract. It will have wage reopeners for the next 2 years, so that term of what the COLA adjustment will be will come back again next year. We'll talk about that. And it will have retro pay to the beginning of the year because this contract did expire in December. And then we will do a $750 stipend to sign the contract.
So we're getting more efficient.
We're getting more efficient. Everyone's going to be treated equally across all 3 boards.
What fun is that?
It was a little, I thought it was a little bumpier negotiation than usual, that's not surprising, but it actually was smoother than I thought it would be,
Good.
so.
It was moving a lot of different components together from 3 different separate units, all moving in the same direction.
So maybe a little short-term pain for long-term gain.
Real good long-term though. Very good long-term.
Yes, that's what I'm hearing. I think that sounds excellent.
Yep.
All right, any questions on that agenda item?
How many individuals are in these?
30 across all 3.
30, okay, I would have thought more.
30 across all 3 units. I mean, like I said, the courts are not as large. That's why having 3 separate groups doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right,
So for
oh,
example, there's like 12 in circuit courts, I think. I think it's 12.
yeah, good question, Brett, because that really puts it in perspective.
It also makes it easier for people to move from one to the other. That'll give us definite efficiency, I think, over the long run, because then there won't be the contract snarl and all figuring out the pennies. Easy.
Right,
Yeah.
And having our employees be able to move to different units is a good thing.
sounds good to me. Anything else on that? I mean, we can talk about it more on Wednesday if anybody has anything, but. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay, and that moves forward. I had one comment while I have Julie here. So I just, this might be a little remedial, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When we approve our bills, we are also including pass-through funds. So as Julie said, she's wrapping up settlement with these units. So for instance, last month in March, one of the checks on our invoice edit report, which we all get, was for $2.4 million that went to the RESD. We're just passing that through. Countywide millages come into Julie's office, and then we disperse them out. And we do that just so that we see it. I don't know that it's not really a bill, but it's a payment, and it comes through this office, so it might, if you're not aware of it, it might make those bills look a little larger than they are, but it gives us all a better picture. But anything that you'd wanna add, Julie?
Well, actually, I did discover this year, when I was at conference, that other counties do not collect their RESD money, that the local units send directly to their intermediate school district. So, I mentioned that to Dr. Boggs. Obviously, we're finishing this season, but wondering about possibly next year, when we start till the winter tax bills, having the local units send directly to the RESD. I wouldn't have to be keeping track of all of that. RESD would have their money quicker. Instead of it coming to us from the local unit, us hanging on to it for a couple weeks, and then sending it to them, they would just send it directly to the RESD, and RESD would have to track what the local units are sending them. And,
That's not a bad
Yeah.
idea.
yeah, I was really surprised. I did kind of we had a conversation at a table, and so I kind of was polling my friends, and they're all like, no, we don't do that, we don't, and I'm like, oh,
Which is-
okay, we'll look into this.
Sometimes the benefits of a conference,
Right,
like that could really be much more efficient.
and, I had been for ages, I was taking their check and physically dropping it off at the RESD building down the road. Until recently, they said, we have to have somebody bring it to us. We're at North Street in Owasso. And so I still go and I drop it off because I do not want to stick a $2.4 million check in the mail.
Right, yeah.
So I've been hand delivering those to them when we do them because
That's a big check.
it's a big check and our postal service sometimes isn't so great. It's a lot of money so I've been hand delivering.
They
that
do
check.
pull in a lot of money. Sometimes I wonder if people really realize.
Oh, they do, especially with the newer, they've got 3 different
Yeah,
lines and their special ed brings in a lot of money.
in my opinion, they are rolling in money, but that's just my opinion. All right, anything else for the Finance and Administration Committee? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
See you Wednesday.
Yeah, I think, I'm sorry. It's really cute.
Thank you, Morgan. I forgot my mail.
Ready? Call this meeting to order. Stand rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That brings us to our first call to the public for the Econ and Physical Development meeting. All right, hearing none, we'll move down to Mr. Pete Preston with Community Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 8 zoning permits, 13 building permits, and 27 code enforcement violations. We have approximately 6 tickets that are in district court that are working their way through in the next month to a month and a half. As far as the building permits, we did have 2 new homes, but I will tell you it is a late start this year for new homes. That's all I have unless you have any other questions.
Okay. Questions for Pete?
I did have one question maybe for you, maybe for Dr. Boggs. So these 6 that are in the courts, how's that process going? I know that's
So
been a
these
little
are the
cumbersome.
ones that go through the magistrate's office, and so when the hearing is scheduled, someone from Pete's office goes over and handles them. They haven't risen to the part where we have to send an attorney to do it.
And is that working well?
It's been going okay.
Yeah, I would say, okay, there's some that have languished, whether on our part or, other, they get mired up, especially when folks, push things out. We had spring break that pushed some off and those kind of things, so.
Okay.
I think we have a pretty good batch coming through, and I can probably report back a lot better on that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us to our agenda items. For the first agenda item, I would look for a motion to approve resolution 260407, approving a brownfield plan for Crestview Heights development.
So
Support. All right, discussion.
So we've done a few of these now. These are an additional way of stimulating economic development. This particular area is a subdivision that is mostly already built out over by what used to be Corona Hills Golf Course. But there are 10 empty lots throughout the area, and this will help get those developed. So with that, I'll turn it over to Justin and Sam for the highlights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great to be back in front of the board for another project. This is our 6th or 7th, I believe now. But this one actually has a bit of a special story to it. So I'm gonna test your memory. I think the very first one we did was, I believe, in the city of Durant. And it was for Allen Edwin Homes, if you recollect that. That was for Creek Point, Circle. Well, Creek Point half circle, we're gonna make it a full circle, right, Dr. Glenn?
That's right.
But the thing I wanna reference that for this board and what you did, which was so critical, the timing of your approvals on that plan ultimately came down to 9 days. So both the County Brownfield Authority, the City of Durant Council, and this board, the meetings lined up very well to get it done in 9 days. That sent a message statewide with the Allen Edwin team, and I'm gonna introduce them here in a second. But they really felt welcomed by Shiawassee County, the speed with which our community moved, with which the Board of Commissioners moved, and the team we built here was very, very impressive to them. So they said, we want to do more work in Shiawassee County because you delivered for us. And today is the culmination of that work we did before with another project moving forward in the city of Corona. So once again, that shows when local government works collaboratively with development, with economic development, we can get deals done in this community. So I know Sam will have some comments on the plan, and we do have Greg and Christine from the Allen Edwin Development Team as well here to make comments.
Okay.
Word spreads fast when you do good work. As Justin mentioned, kind of similar to Creek Point, this is a housing infill development subdivision that was not complete. I would now like to purchase 10 of those lots and build single-family homes on them, with 2 of them being income restricted for a period of 10 years, which qualifies them under statute for housing TIF. If we dive in a little bit further to the eligible activities, you'll see that the main cost driver in this is the income and affordability gap piece that is $450,000. Pre-development activities, so environmental site assessments of $5,000, $109,000 in infrastructure improvements, and $86,000 in site preparation. This does have a 15% contingency, an interest request, and the total eligible activity cost, which includes $153,000 to maintain into the county admin fund, $71,000 into the state revolving fund, and $278,000 for a total of $1.3 million. This is the first brownfield plan with an interest request, and in order to do so, we ended up bumping up the admin fee. So our typical brownfield redevelopment authority administrative fee is 10%. We added 5% onto that. And let's see. So the current taxable value of this property is $7,000 set in 2026. They're anticipating to invest $2.8 million for a post-development taxable value of about 1.5. Throughout the plan, as all others that you've seen, we put a 2% inflation rate multiplier on there. And looking upon the reimbursement, it looks like based upon those current projections, it is expected to be complete in 2045, which is inclusive of the local brownfield revolving fund capture, which can continue for 5 years after the developer is reimbursed. If that schedule is quicker, then it would be less than that amount of time. So any questions on kind of the details of the plan?
One of the things I would note here in particular, unlike some of the other subdivisions, several of these particular projects that we've done lately are subdivisions that are almost complete. And so we're not building a subdivision where there isn't a subdivision. We're not expanding out to farmland or different areas. These are areas that have open lots in well-developed subdivisions already that just haven't reached their full potential. And this is going to help fill those in where there already are houses, where there already are services, where there already are streets.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Greg Bird. I'm the program manager for workforce housing for Allen Edwin Homes. The two of them have said so much. I just wanted to say, introduce myself and say thank you. Justin's absolutely correct with his story that he told. I've only been with the company for about 5 months now, but one of the first stories I was told was the efficiency of which the county worked in one of our previous projects. So we really do, as Justin said, feel welcome and appreciate all of the interactions and the cooperative nature of our relationship. So obviously, if there are any questions from any of you, we're willing to entertain them, but they've laid out the details very nicely.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, any further discussion, questions?
Sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, all right, with that, all in favor of moving this on to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, those opposed? That moves to Wednesday. Next motion, I'll look for a motion to approve the increase in fees for non-statutory functions and services of county equalization for local units as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, thank you. All right, discussion?
So there are several things that equalization does do that are required, that we have to do for local units. However, there are some things that we do for local units because they don't have capacity to do it themselves, or for whatever reason have chosen not to do those functions that they are required to do, but they pay us to do those functions. And as a result, costs have gone up, and we would like to raise those fees. Hitting at a high point.
Yeah, you've hit the high points. They are non-statutory duties of the treasurer and the assessor.
The local treasurer and assessor.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. So, you know, for us to do that, it takes a lot of time and effort, and the most important thing, a lot of liability upon, you know, mistake. We're still there to always support and provide guidance and such if they choose to do it on their own. However, it does become quite the task to get that through. And also, this has not been changed in the last 15 years, nor have I found any contract between the township and the county. So we've essentially been doing these services without unsubstantiated or substantiated parameters on how we do that. I will say that this is common to do this. Years back, Clinton County just said no, that we're not doing that anymore. They didn't give any options for that. Isabella County has said, no, we're not doing that anymore because of those costs. However, as you get into the northern areas, there are contracts that are very similar to this to provide those services. And I think there's 1 or 2 counties that continue just to do it with no cost to the townships.
Currently, with those things, we charge $1 a parcel. This would be up to $1.50 a parcel.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say also, as an assessor myself, wherever I have done assessing, I always want to be responsible for those going in the mail and what's on them. So I never have relied on an equalization department. I just consider it a matter of course. You know, for us to do that is almost picking up their assessment database and delivering it to the printer. We still want to audit that. We'll still go through things, but that's one of those basic services and responsibilities of an equalization department.
Okay.
If I could
Yeah,
add something,
absolutely.
I will say as an assessor myself, I would love to have the service from equalization that we get here. I think Pete's downplaying his role a little bit because he's the bumpers on the lane, and it is a big help to have that expertise and that middleman. So it is a service to the constituents or
Sure.
the townships that we serve. So
But the other part of that is if we don't raise it, we're subsidizing some of them over others. We can't keep doing
no, but it's well worth it.
it. It is well worth it. It's a great service, but it's gotta, because we contract out the entire equalization department, it's gotta be able to break even. So it doesn't make money, but it's gotta break.
And I don't know that the fees seem out of line.
Not having
They're
done it
not.
for 14 years.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Right. Who thinks that, it hasn't gone up in the last 14, 15 years?
And the assessment notice was the one that climbed the most, because it went from 40 cents to $1.50, that's low. For packaging that and getting it out. So I just thought they should be brought up to be even. They're all involved the same amount of properties, almost the same amount of effort, and that's why I put it up there.
40 cents.
An assessment notice.
I would pay you 40 cents to do mine.
And of course, these costs, never included reimbursable costs of paper and such. That was always reimbursed to us from the townships. But it's just an increase in the fee for service.
Okay. Further discussion?
Is this a fee that's gonna be tacked on as additional burden to the taxpayers for property taxes, or what?
No, this is something that the townships are required to pay, so however they pay it, it comes from their general fund.
Yeah, unless they're gonna write it out by hand and hand deliver it, it's gotta be mailed out and state has, so if they're not paying us, they're paying somebody. And nobody's doing it for $1.50, certainly not 40 cents.
It comes from their general fund or our general fund.
Right.
Correct.
Yes, you're required by law to send out that assessment notice before the board of review. How you do it as a township is on you, but it's not free. So.
Okay. Further discussion? Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor of moving that to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we'll see that Wednesday. Next, I would look for motion to approve the 2026 total equalized valuation and resolution number 26-04-09 and authorize the board chair and county clerk to execute the L4024, the L4037, and any necessary documents. I'll make the motion. Your support.
Yeah.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, so the total estimated value, or the total equalized value, for this year is 4.2 billion for all property in the county. That's up from 3.98 billion, the year before. So what that means for the taxable value last year, was 2.7 billion, and this year it is 2.8 billion, an increase of $102 million. So what that means is last year we collected about 375 additional new revenue as a result of inflation and growth. This year we'll collect 550, more or less, those numbers are not final, of taxes, which is a slight increase. So years ago, we were collecting about $900,000 a year of new additional revenue as a result of that growth. However, with the solar farms, that is personal property, and so it reduces, and our base is about $300,000 a year of additional new taxes as a result of those the increases. However, because of the number of changes in properties and the uncapping of properties that have happened, it's about 550 or so this year, more or less. That number's gonna be tightened yet because we're not finished with everything, but that's gonna be close to what it is, which is a little higher than last year. So to give you an idea, the 375 from last year was about 2% of the general fund budget. So that barely was any increase at all. That's why COLA adjustments were so low and things of that nature. We have to monitor our expenses. This will give us a little more breathing room in the following year to come.
All right.
And again, you want to be in an area where, in an economic recession, those numbers would go down. People would lose their values of their homes. They'd be upside down in their mortgages. So these do go up every year as part of the taxing structure.
Yeah. All right. Discussion, questions?
Well, that definitely affects personnel's, property taxes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
For those that are uncapped, yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's the rate, the market rate, or the.
Was it
Not market rate.
3.1 this year, Pete? The inflation
5%.
multiplier?
Yeah, the multiplier.
Or what was it,
the max.
3.1 or 2.7 this year? I feel like it was 3.1 last year, 2.7.
Yes, 2.7 or 2.8, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, when I gave you that presentation a while back, this is the tail end of the season, and in about 2 weeks, we'll start it again. But, this is not the county levying any new taxes or anything. This is what's the result of the March Board review and the entire process.
Well, I think it's important to note that multiplier is applied across the state of Michigan,
Right.
and the state sets that. So we have no skin in that game. I mean, a few years ago, it hit the cap of 5% 2 years in a row. So, I mean,
If you adjust these numbers in any way, shape, or form, the state is required in May to equalize and would bring it to what they determine the value to be. So I would suggest you move forward with the numbers we presented.
right, because if we don't do it, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll see that Wednesday. Next, I look for a motion to approve PA 116 farmland agreement application for Jacob Dace in Woodhull Township, parcel ID number 013-20-100-00.
So moved.
Support.
All right, discussion.
Standard PA 116 in farmland agreement.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Thank you for speaking. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving that to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, moves to Wednesday. Next, I would look for a motion to approve the PA 116 farmland agreement application for Robert McGoal in Antrim Township, parcel ID numbers 015-21-400-001 and 015-21-300-001-02 and 015-21-300-001-03.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support. Discussion.
Same, standard agreement.
Perfect. All right. With that, all in favor of moving that to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That moves on to Wednesday. Finally, I would look for a motion to approve the appointment of Shirley Smith to the Planning Commission for a partial term.
I'll support that.
Support.
All right, motion with support, discussion.
So last month you appointed her to the ZBA. She's also available to serve on the planning commission. We are in need of members of those townships in which we serve. There is an individual who is on the planning commission who goes to the ZBA meetings because they vote on someone who goes back and forth between two boards. That individual doesn't wish to do that anymore. She will likely be that individual in the planning commission process.
Perfect.
And if I
Yeah,
could,
absolutely.
Brad, we had just enough for a quorum. Our last ZBA meeting, we had 6 agenda items. And our board chair was on vacation for spring break, so Shirley stepped up, even though she was a little nervous, and chaired the meeting and did a wonderful job. So,
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Looking forward to having her on the Planning Commission. All right, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of moving this on to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we'll see that Wednesday. That brings us to our final call to the public. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.